Welcome here to Medley in Dublin. It's in the heart of the city centre. The building where I'm sitting at the moment used to house the printing press for the Irish Times. Now we do food. We have weddings, we have corporate events, private parties. So this series is all about food. I'm going to be running through some really wonderful, tasty, very simple recipes that we would have had at home growing up as kids. Back in the 70s, my recollection of Christmas is wrapping presents on Christmas Eve, getting ready for Santa Claus, but it was also about prepping food. I really hope you enjoy it, and I know I will as well. Welcome back to the Medley Studio Kitchen. Today we are doing the most amazing starter. It is duck breast, Macroom buffalo mozzarella. We've got a lovely orange segment which is infused with turmeric, with sherry vinegar, with orange juice, and we've got a little bit of sugar there just to caramelize it a little bit. We're going to finish it off with a beetroot emulsion. Now it does sound complicated, but it's not that complicated at all. And we've got some honey glazed carrots as well. So to start with, we've got our frying pan. I want to bring it up to as much heat as possible, and I'm going to put a little bit of rapeseed oil. Rapeseed oil compared to olive oil, you can achieve higher temperatures. Olive oil burns at low temperatures. You could have a mixture of this and butter if you wished, but the star of the show here is the duck breast and the buffalo mozzarella from Macroom. So we have our beautiful, tender, succulent, meaty duck breast here. This is from County Monaghan. So the important thing with duck breast is to season it. I've had it out for about 2 hours, and I also want to score it because that will help with the rendering process. So a really good sharp knife, and what I'm doing here is scoring the skin. You can see here that it'll help it crisping up as well, and because I've got the salt, that will also enhance it. Now, doesn't this look absolutely divine? Beautifully scored, beautifully seasoned, and now it's going to go straight onto the pan, skin side down. Okay, this is cooking beautifully, so I'm going to flip this over and you'll see how nicely browned it is. Now, there is so much oil. There's probably as much olive oil or rapeseed oil that I put in there as there is fat from the duck breast. But this is a really important part of the process, is to render out that fat. So I just want to brown it for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to flip it, and then it's going to go into the oven to finish it off. The next stage of this process, and this is for the orange segments. Now this is all for garnish. The star of the show here really is the duck breast. So in a hot saucepan, we're going to put some orange juice. I've got a teaspoon of turmeric, and I've got some wonderful sherry vinegar. So in we go with the sherry vinegar. Now before I do that, this is smoking, which is actually exactly what I want. So that is doing really nicely. So I'm just going to coat the bottom of this duck breast. Again, I want to render it out for a little bit longer, and I'm going to put that into the oven. So I'm going to turn the temperature down here, and then that's going to go into the oven to finish off. So here we go again. This is for our orange segments. So in here with our caster sugar. So what the caster sugar allows you to do, it allows you to actually caramelize, and it introduces the sweetness because the vinegar is very, very, very acidic. And to cut through the acidity, we've got some sugar in there as well. I'm going to bring that to boiling point. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole process because I'm wanting to kind of accelerate the cooking process here. I want to get this finished. But the main thing when cooking and the main thing when prepping, particularly at Christmas time, is to prep as much in advance as possible. These orange segments can be done 4 or 5 days ahead of Christmas. So do as much as you can. The duck can be done ahead of Christmas as well, because all we're going to be doing is serving it up, and it's actually really beautiful when it's served cold. So this is to boiling point now. So essentially all we'll do will be we'll segment the orange, and then that will go into the brine, the marinade, the sauce. We'll reduce it down, we'll cool it. I'm going to turn this off, and this is what we are left with. These beautiful segments. You're going to drain the liquid, and then they just go straight into the fridge. These are cold, but we're going to serve them up at room temperature. So the duck is ready to go into the oven. So that's rendered down nicely. It's browned beautifully on the underside. Lovely crispy skin up here. And as I'm rubbing this over, I can actually feel the fact that it's actually beautifully crispy. So that's exactly what I want. So they're going to go straight onto this. So the one thing to consider is that we have all the ingredients, the recipe, the cooking times, all online on the screen. Click here, follow Medley, follow Andrew, but all the instructions will be there, and this is going straight into the oven. So the important thing here is to clean down. We want the surface to be hygienic, so your sterile wipes, your disinfecting, and we're going to be plating up. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I've got some disinfectant wipes. We're going to wipe down this surface here. I've already changed the board. The knife is clean. Hands are clean because I was using gloves earlier. And I'm going to just explain the process of assembly. So we've got our cherry tomatoes, we've got our segments of orange, we've got our buffalo mozzarella. Now, another little add-on if you want to do, I've done a little beetroot puree as well. So the beetroot puree is purely for garnish, but it does add a lovely element of taste, the texture you have in your duck. But what I've used is agar, but you can replace that with gelatine. So what you're going to do is you can either buy fresh beetroot, cook them down, beat them into a pulp, and then you're going to add some gelatine, and then you're going to put them onto some greaseproof paper, and you can actually produce these beautiful strips of gel. And I'm going to use that to present, but you can actually forget about doing that if you wish, if you feel it's too complicated. So the next stage for me is to take the duck out of the oven, and we're going to serve up. So here we go. And as you can see, that has reduced down quite significantly because of the fat content. So I am going to plate this up. So I want to leave that to rest just for a couple of minutes. And on the plate here, I'm going to use some of my garnish. So we've got our segments of orange, which I'm going to randomly place on the plate. I'm just going to scatter them really. I don't want anything to be too uniform. We also have our buffalo mozzarella, and I'm going to place up the duck in little slices over the buffalo mozzarella there. And we've also got our beetroot puree that I was telling you about. So I'm going to leave some little dollops. So this is fine dining in the comfort of your own home, but this is really beautiful. I had a few friends here in Medley a couple of weeks ago for lunch, and this was the starter. And actually Richard's behind the camera there, and his children were here, and they absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this recipe. So this is not just for adults, children love it as well. So here we go. So I'm going to slice this. I prefer duck to be really, really thinly sliced. I find if it's too thick, it can tend to be a little bit rubbery. So, and again, as I said earlier, this could also be served up cold, but this is absolutely divine. You don't need to have huge portions, so I'm going to present that along here in the middle. So here we have it, our beautiful starter, which is ideal over Christmas. The last thing I'm going to add to that, I did make reference earlier about having the caramelized carrots, which are divine, and that gives extra crunch, extra texture, extra flavor. Enjoy.